I am super excited to be here with Dr. Elizabeth Doris from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. I am here today at Carasoft, and I am leading a conference on climate change, the impact it's having on our country, if not internationally, and the role that the federal government, industry, and academia play. So Liz, Dr. Liz, just a little bit about you, your role at NREL, and really what intrigues you about being at a conference like this inside the Beltway?
Yeah, so I have been at NREL since 2005, and right now I run the Joint Institute for Strategic Energy Analysis, which is the forward-looking arm of NREL. And everyone at NREL, at the lab we're the only lab that works exclusively on energy efficiency and renewable energy for the federal government, for the Department of Energy. And so everyone's work is forward-looking. JICEA is looking at emerging challenges and for clean energy deployment, development, and research, and how we can address those. And the reason I'm super interested in being here today is that the whole way we think about science and research and clean energy has to change to address the really complicated large-scale challenges that we have. And that is, how we think about climate adaptation, how we think about workforce, how we think about economic development, how we think about large-scale, complex, multi-sector problems. And when it comes down to it, the way that government, industry, and research institutions and community organizations interact is critical to actually being able to partner to solve those challenges.
I love the correlation, or as I like to say, the triangulation of that government, industry, research and development, or academia. Question for you, being inside of this technical discussion, or the technical discussion that always seems to be, well, how does AI play into it, or the cloud, or data? We've been hearing that all day today. When you're talking about what can we do to solve the problem, the mission problem, how do you address the technology relationship? Because I come from the school, that's not the problem, but there's so much out there. How do we distill what we need to apply to the challenge at hand?
I think that, and it's interesting how much it is a common challenge across all different aspects of the missions that the government has, right? Like not just DOEs, even within DOE, we have different challenges. Oftentimes, I have sort of tried to explore the question with our exploratory groups, because we draw from across the labs to sort of bring out subject matter experts to see what their challenges are. And common challenges are always around data set quality, data set sharing, data set alignment in terms of units, right? I mean, I spent 3 years at the beginning of my career working on a data set, a wonderful data set that is run out of the North Carolina State University, or used to be, that looked at policies at the state level. And the first thing we had to do, it's just an amazing memory, was it was text-based. And so the percentage numbers of what the incentive was for renewable energy were in text. We couldn't use them to do math, right? And so we had to download the whole data set and re-upload it as numbers. And we're having that problem now, but in a much more advanced way, right? How do we do supported brainstorming with AI, right? So that we can move faster to questions. How can we enable broader questions and different perspectives by looking at different data sets and querying them in different ways?
A lot of the discussion today and in the afternoon, I'm sure, is going to keep focusing on data-driven decision making. The federal government is got federal data strategies, and we've got legacy systems, to your point. And I've been at the NIH here and there, and it's like watching some of our most talented physicians in the world have to still download things on a floppy disk to cut them over to here to then apply something like AI. But hey, legacy systems aren't going to go away tomorrow. But back to just the R&D side, I love the national labs, the 17 labs. How is that collaboration among labs when there's the competitive, the people sometimes say frenemies? I'm a fan of, I know they all work together. Yes, they're businesses, but how is that going with this climate discussion? Do you find that this climate change movement is bringing a lot of the researchers together?
We call it co-opetition.
Co-opetition. That's the third one I've heard.
And it is,
yes.
And it is it is a very important thing for innovation to have a lot of different ideas percolate up. So I'm on board, but it has, in areas that are mission adjacent, where you might have not as big a bench of scientists, to think about challenges, right? You have 1 or 2 people thinking about the cross-cutting aspects, whereas you have 50 or 60 people talking about technology solutions, right? Those 1 or 2 people have to collaborate. They must be able to connect to people on the ground very quickly and then tell each other about that, so that we're not extractively taking from other communities their work over and over and exhausting them in what is increasingly an urgent situation where they are very busy. And so the way that I think the laboratories have really been working together is both in the traditional academic sense, where we co-write papers, but also we meet in the National Lab Directors got together and they have a group called the National Lab Directors Council, and oftentimes it's about operational issues, right? So like, what are HR best practices, right, that they can put together? They started a group called Community Engaged Research, and it is about connecting a network of scientists at the laboratories to just know each other, to talk about each other's projects and challenges, and be able to build that network so that as challenges evolve, they can just reach out to each other, which is a different form of scientific collaboration that I think is the first of many in an evolution of different ways to think about science and research.
All right, well, hey, I have 55 million more questions for you, and I look forward to maybe following up with a longer, extensive one, but I just want to thank you for your time, for coming out. I'm looking forward to the afternoon, and appreciate all you do, and thank you for your service.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
It was awesome.